500 members, and because we had these great speakers, I was able to learn about each individual and say, you know what, you should talk to this person, a connector, that's what it is. You should talk to this person, or this person is looking for somebody who, you know, could fulfill a job, or they're looking for this client. And I think that was a lot more fun and more interactive, but that was my favorite too.
What resources did you have to acquire in order to get your company started, and how did you go about getting them?
The resources that I acquired, okay, so the good thing about doing something like what I do is you can do it anywhere in the world. You don't have to have an office, and you don't even have to have a car. I got rid of my car like 6 years ago. All you have to have is a laptop and access to the internet, and basically that was it. So I didn't really need to invest in anything. I don't have any investors. The only, I guess, investors would be the advertisers or the partners. But for my particular startup, I didn't have to go through that process. I do know a lot of other folks who do go through that process, and you know, there's like the bootstrapping, there's friends and family funding, there's, you know, Series A and all that other stuff, but I didn't have to do that.
When did you realize that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, and did you ever doubt the success of your startup?
When did I realize that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and did I doubt the success of my startup? I don't even think that I really even thought of the word entrepreneur when I went off and started working for myself. What I thought was, I don't want to work for anybody anymore. That was the main gist of it. I didn't just say, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur, and I woke up one day and that was what ended up happening. It was just, I got sick of working for somebody, and I thought, I don't need to do this anymore. And again, it's an attitude where you say, not that I knew everything, but I didn't want to put myself in a position where I had to continue to have to be under this person, who, by the way, was the devil, but he was, so it was more of like an escape from having to work for this person. And this, yes, I mean, I doubted, again, you know, like for 2 years, crying myself to sleep every night, going, what am I going to do? What am I doing? What am I doing? I know this, if I work my butt off, I know that something good is going to happen. And it did. So yeah, I doubted it for like 2 years. Oh, yes. Oh, okay. Okay, and then you.
Did you, or could you see yourself being as successful if you weren't in such a young and diverse city?
Would I find myself being as successful if I was not in such a young and diverse city? The interesting thing is that if I was in like, well, by the way, Washington isn't that young, but the market for timing is also really important. Never doubt timing. Timing could be your best friend or it could be your worst enemy. I happened to be doing what I was doing because the timing happened to be right, and I was very lucky. I was one of the first blogs in DC doing what I'm doing. So everyone, you know, I see all these people like, you're the original. So timing was good. There wasn't a ton of competition for that. 2, this was, for some reason, and I can't remember the exact year, well, I guess it was maybe like 2005, some of the glossy magazines were finally coming to Washington, D.C. And I say glossy magazines because they were like fashion magazines and event magazines and all this other kind of cool stuff. A lot more restaurants were opening up, chefs were coming, there were new hotels that were being built, a lot more money and a lot more vibrancy happened to be coming right around that time. If it had been the same way as it was 20 years ago or 15 years ago, I wouldn't have even had that idea because there wasn't enough going on. But it really had to do, like it built itself, the purpose built the business because there was just so much going on. So the vibrancy is still there and it's building upon itself, but every market is not the same, and I realize that. So to pick up, like New York is like the hippest market ever, but it's a monster. And for me to try to go in, you know, it'd be very different. So I was very lucky because I happened to have had a history and a foundation, a lot of networks, a lot of contacts in DC, and the timing, it was a very ripe timing.
You actually answered my question with that.
Okay, good.
Okay. You mentioned that you don't have any employees, but how did you first attract writers to your site? Did they approach you or did you approach them?
Well, I did a call out to attract writers. I actually did a call out. I think I did a call out on the blog and maybe on Facebook that I was looking for an intern. And the intern ended up being one of my very dear friends, and she ended up, she is now. And she started writing for me as well. And then she actually said, guess what? I have some friends who would be really cool. I bet they would like to do this as well because I'm having so much fun doing it. So I met them. And then, so it started to grow, and pretty soon I had like 5. And then their friends started to say, these 5 writers would say, I know somebody who would do really well. And so it was more of like a referral kind of networking. But I've had people email me out of the blue. I've had like maybe over the course of like a couple of years, maybe 6 people email me out of the blue and just say, I'd like to contribute. I'd like to contribute. I'd like to be a correspondent. So that's, but I think that they see that this is the value that they get.
What do you think makes a good entrepreneur?
What do I think makes a good entrepreneur? I believe it's somebody who is a leader who knows they don't know everything and that they're not an expert in everything and that they have a really good idea, but in order to execute it, because there's a lot of people who have really great ideas, but the execution is what makes the entrepreneur be successful. When you get to the point of wanting to execute your idea and turn it into a business or turn it into a product or whatever, you need to call upon other people and ask them to join you or ask them for advice. The best, when I was working for Net 2000 Communications, the CEO, Charlie Thomas, he only hired the people who were experts in every single sleeve of discipline. The best CFO, the best CIO, the best human resources, the best. And he never said, I'm better than all of you. He said, I'm not good because I'm going to hire, you're better at that than me. You have to be humble. You have to realize that you don't know everything and that you need help because a lot of entrepreneurs falter because their ego gets in the way, and that's not going to help you at all. So just knowing what you don't know and finding people to help you and hire them is extremely important.
How do you pursue someone that you think would be a mentor for you? How do you approach them?
That's a good question. Pursuing somebody that you believe would be a good mentor. And I've been really fortunate before because I've had long-term relationships with my mentors. So to call them a mentor happens to be because I've had a history with them. So if, it really depends. I think calling somebody out of the blue and saying, I'm thinking about 30 Rock whenever, I don't know if you remember, like Alec Baldwin decided that he was going to have Lemon as I'm going to mentor you. You're going to be, you. And she's like, what? I don't want this. But so if you have somebody in your life that or you have a history with, or you have a friendship with, or you admire greatly, but they're already kind of in your life, I think that's when you approach them and say, listen, I need some advice. Not like, hey, would you be my mentor? But I need some advice. I'm going through this. I have a question. And even people who you don't really know that well, feel free to ask them for advice. It's just really asking for advice. I'm telling you, people love to give advice. They love to give advice. I love giving advice right here, right now. Because I have to right now.
Okay, does anyone have any other questions?
Nope.
Okay, I think we'll wrap it up then. Thank you,
you.
Pamela.
Thank